For thousands of years, humans have searched for ever greater understanding. Join us as we take a journey through history, science, and the challenges of life.
Around a year ago, The Economist wrote an interesting article titled "The Time May Be Right for Land Value Taxes." The concept of land value taxes is in no way a new concept, but has in fact been around for a long time. Many economists have advocated this tax, but it is most famously associated with an American named Henry George. George started his career as a journalist, but would later become one of the most influential economists of his time. During his time, he sparked reform movements, he wrote books, and many of his ideas are implemented all over the world. He fought vigorously for his beliefs about land rights and poverty, and shared his ideas through tours around America. However, during a global tour, his first stroke occurred. The stroke greatly weakened him, and he never truly recovered. Despite this, he tried to remain active in politics. Against the advice of his doctors, he campaigned for New York City mayor in 1897. The strain of the campaign precipitated a second stroke, leading to his death only 4 days before the election.
George is known by some as the most famous American economic writer. His book Progress and Poverty sold more copies in America in the 1890s than any other book besides the Bible. The book inspired many movements and also a particular board game called Monopoly, which you may have heard of. In Monopoly, there are two types of wealth. Wealth in terms of cash and wealth in terms of land and houses. Which of the two are the most important to acquire? Well, if you've ever played Monopoly, you know that the majority of the time, the winner is the one owning the land, not the one sitting with all the cash. According to The Economist, the game was designed not only to be fun, but also educational, in terms of showing how property markets naturally tend towards monopolies in which one player can extract all the rent. By owning a lot of land, whether it be in Monopoly or in the real world, you are essentially owning a monopoly, which brings us back to Henry George. Why is it that he was such a big proponent of land value taxes? The reason is simple. Whether you live in Europe, America, or anywhere else, your country only has a limited number of livable square meters, just like a board game of Monopoly, which has a limited number of squares. And so, if one person sits on a large part of the livable square meters, this means that there's less space available for other people.
Inequality in terms of land is very different from inequality in terms of wealth. Unlike land inequality, it is not directly a problem for you and me that someone else is earning more money than us. It can of course be if it is taken to the far extreme, but that is a completely different discussion. So why do we focus so much on wealth inequality when in fact the bigger problem might be land inequality? Some people assume the reason is that right-wing politicians and economists would never accept such a tax. But this could not be further from the truth. Several right-wing economists have in fact even advocated land value taxes, including, for example, the economist Milton Friedman. Friedman was an advisor to several right-wing leaders, including Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. According to Friedman, taxes are generally a bad thing because they take away money from workers, thereby making them less motivated to work. With this belief in mind, why would an economist like Friedman ever advocate for an increase in taxes? The reason is that Friedman believed that land value taxes actually had the exact opposite effect on the economy. But how is that? How could higher taxes ever encourage people to work more?
The reason is simple. Assume for a moment that you had to pay a monthly tax for every square meter you owned. This would mean that everyone owning an excess amount of land would immediately be encouraged to either use the land to produce value or sell it in order for them to avoid a loss. And so, with a high land value tax in place, no one will want to sit on empty land, thereby either freeing up space for others or using the land to produce value for society. One real-life example of this is the family-owned Hollister Ranch. The ranch runs along the Pacific coast of California and has a size of 58 square kilometers. The United States does not tax land, and so the family who owns the ranch has no incentive to sell their land. A consequence of this is that 58 square kilometers of the beach in California is inaccessible to the public. And this brings us back to an important question. We now know of a tax that is advocated by both left and right-wing people, promotes economic growth, and can be used to free up space in big cities. With all of this in mind, why is this tax not implemented in every country in the world? Like any other tax, land value taxes do have some minor drawbacks. However, these drawbacks are nothing compared to the complexity of current tax systems. One reason might be that landowners are currently sitting on a lot of power in society and can resist a political push. Politicians might also be hesitant to set such a tax in place because they can lose the support of wealthy individuals. As of today, only 5 countries have some sort of land value tax implemented in their tax system. However, as the Economist wrote, the time might be right for land value taxes. That concludes today's episode. We hope you learned something new. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions or insights you would like to share. Also click like and subscribe if you would like to see more from us. Have a good day and keep yearning for learning.